Welcome back to the Tidy Hangar. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with another video. This is going to talk to you about Earthrise Starscream, and it's a very good G1E, G1-esque version of Starscream. We're going to get into all the pluses and minuses. I'm going to give you my take, my opinion, and a lot of comparisons coming up. And this is what he looks like in the packaging. Looks pretty good. You see Starscream, you see all that good stuff there. Or for Cybertron, Earthrise. There's the side, shows Starscream, shows both modes, shows him interacting with something that's been out for like 6 months now. And the beautiful art on the side. Now this one actually has one band holding it in, unlike Grapple, who had nothing holding him in. He was just in there. So it's kind of their packaging changes to reduce plastic in future packaging, I guess. So having a look at this alt mode, and it is a nice looking jet. It is super G1. It gives you all those feels. Yes, I'm not a master craftsman. I got paint all over me from something yesterday, but I've been scrubbing it off for 12 hours, okay. Anyway, this looks good. Taking a look at this cockpit, they took the time to give that cockpit extra detail in the seats. Looks really good. I like things like that. Moving over to the side, that's kind of unsightly right there. We've got all this kibble right down here. Paint on the wings. I do like the fact that we have this paint right here. The Decepticon symbol looks good. We have paint on the tail fin. We have, well, looking at the back, that all works nice. I like how the feet fit in there and they close up like that. Just looks really good. I think that this really does shine in its alt mode. Now, it doesn't really have landing gear, and I don't really care, to tell you the truth. I was thinking we would get some sort of landing gear out of it. But in the end, it doesn't bother me. It sits fine. It's gonna look good. So I think this is how this figure shines. All these Seekers are gonna make with this mold are gonna shine in this mode and will display very well. First comparison to be made is next to the Tetrajet. Now, I do wanna talk about the Tetrajet situation. A lot of people have been saying, well, I just bought all these Tetrajets, now I gotta rebuy them in the new G1-esque form. And what I gotta say about that is two things. You don't have to buy the Earthrise ones, obviously. You could just stick with your Tetrajets, or you could have both. See, the thing is that how often do you get mainline Tetrajets? Almost never. And I'm kind of venturing to think that these might actually, the Tetrajets might get harder and harder to find as they're out of production. So if you already bought the Tetrajets, hold on to them because they're a really cool design. But this is super G1. But isn't that sort of G1 like the first episode? Quick comparison to one of the McFans toys, came oversized, the DX9 version. So this is Legends Plus. And how much bigger it is, it's not like massively bigger than a Legends. But so I would say, of course, you know, Legends size, this is bigger than what you would get with any Hasbro mainline Legends. But yeah, there's the kind of aesthetic differences. I think they both look good. They look very similar. And next to just some good old classics from back in the day. Let's get this guy transformed up, and I really do like starting with the legs. Let's rise. So let's start with unclipping the wings, not the legs. And then we can open up these legs like that, and then bring them both down, and then we can close the legs back up. And you want to get this tab in there. Holds the knee in place. Then you can split the legs, fold that up, fold this up, and then slide, you got to untab this, slide this around. Same thing on the other side. Fold the toe up, fold this up. That was already untabbed there, but fold this up. Now we've got the legs done. Once you got the legs done, feels like you've done something. You've gotten somewhere. Okay, and we want to lift these wings up. They just fold into place, and you can leave those on there if you want to. Now we're going to unclip this, and you want to be careful with that, but unclip it, and then we got to get the arms out, and we got to put the chest in place. So these arms are some of the strangest looking arms the way they did it. Fold these out, unfold the hand a little bit, but you want to lift this piece here up like that and rotate it out. And then we can close it all back up. Interesting maneuver there. We can do the rest of this arm. We'll do this arm here. Open, tab that back in, it all works. Now we got to get this top piece accomplished. So we're going to open this up, lean this forward, and then this is going to twist. It's going to do the twist, and then it's going to go into place. So this would fall into chest cavity, fold to the back, and lift all of this back up. Now we're going to reclip this into place. And there we have Starscream. Pretty simple transformation. Fold his little pelvis down, which kind of just pops up during transformation. And looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and get his null rays on and have a good look at him. All right, so here is Starscream in his robot mode, and he looks pretty good. I have to admit, this is a nice looking Starscream. Got a good head sculpt. I love the paint on the eyes, nice red. Of course, down into, this is all paint. This is paint all over. Paint on my fingers and paint on this. This looks nice. The head's painted too. Look at that shiny, glistening head paint. Now, I don't like this gap here. Because of the transformation, I kept trying to figure out how I could get rid of this gap. And I can't figure out how to get rid of this gap. So, not 100% sure how to do that. I guess you can't. I like the little turbine in there, whatever the air intakes. Looks pretty good. The cockpit in the chest, the painted piece down here. So they're really up in the game with some paint. There's paint down below, right here. This I don't like. I don't like this. They should have made it removable or something. I don't like this. We're going to get more into that here in a minute. Here he is from the back, looking pretty good. But overall, one thing I want to point out about is a lot of line detail, a lot of line work, and really kind of in my mind, I was thinking a G1-esque one would be a little smoother and not as much line work. But now, people are on the fence whether they like the line work or don't like the line work. Like the smooth tune, don't like the smooth tune. I mean, this is definitely carrying on what Siege had, and different from Grapple. Grapple has a minimal line work. This has massive amounts of line work. So it's kind of like, well, what do you want? So now I want to talk more about these feet. You saw this work. It's sort of in the transformation. It's connected to the heel spur, and it also rounds out that edge to the back of the plane, and that's connected. I was really hoping you could take it off, because I'd take it off and throw it in a box. Now, some people go, well, it's parts forming. Okay, whatever. If I could take it off and throw it in the box, I'd much rather display it without that. I think it would look better without that. And I tried to remove it. I realized it's pinned to that heel spur, and if I remove it, technically I break it. So it's not worth it, but in the end, that's a big downside to me. Like, so when I say pluses and minuses, this figure has a lot of great pluses to it. That's a huge minus. It was a big old hoof that he has to carry around. I don't like that at all. So I'm going on record. I don't like it. Let's move on. There is a significant gap in his side. A lot of people are going to criticize that. I don't see that as being a huge issue. I mean, it's not great, but it's not the end of the world. Get into the good old articulation, and he's got his head side to side, and that's tight. Like it's never been turned. And then his arms, well, aside from the wings, you know, the classic Starscream, you're going to have those issues. It goes out to a 90. You have the bicep swivel. The hand doesn't move except for with what it does with transformation. No A swivel. We knew that going into this. You do have thigh swivel, and you have the knee to the 90. You can put the flap up and go all the way forward to the 90, but the back here prevents it from going much further to the back. And the knee unclips if you're not careful. And then of course you have the ankle rocker. Ankle rocker. It doesn't go, you have toe forward, toe tilt forward, but that's not really a rocker. All right, so here's how he scales with some other $30 figures, Prime and Megatron, and I think that scale is just fine. It's almost perfect in my opinion. That looks great. I never really liked huge variances from a leader like Prime Megatron to a really small Seeker. I just never thought that was smart. Here he is next to his Wave-Made Grapple, which, as you can see how simplistic Grapple is, he does have some line work, but not to this level, not to that degree. You could also argue based on the alt mode, well, would the alt mode of this crane have the same amount of line work as a jet? So that argument is actually very valid. Now looking over here, these guys, I think those scale okay. It doesn't make Springer look as small or as too small as he really is. So yeah, that'll work for me. Okay, so here he is in a face-off next to, well, the Siege version, the Tetrajet, and there are some pluses and some minuses. There are some good and some bad points to each one of these. But when you look at this, they both have similar amount of the line work. This guy doesn't have any of the space crud mud, the blast effect kind of stuff that's on it, or whatever you want to call that, battle damage. But he does have this kibble on the foot where this one does not. And kind of the way the paint right here really pops, this one doesn't have that level of paint. There's more just plastic on this one. So looking at the two, kind of the design aesthetic, which one do you like the most? It doesn't, well, it matters which one you like the most. I think that they both look good and they're both different, and the fact that they're different is definitely worth having both. Speaking of G1, this is my Gimpy G1, missing his little accessories. They're in a box or a bag or something. I didn't dig for them. It would have taken hours probably to find it. But anyway, there it is. That's the look, the size difference, the sort of design aesthetics, and does take quite a few design aesthetics from the G1. Looks really good G1 wise, but this one doesn't have a whole bunch of junk on him, does he? I guess if you look at it, it really does. The G1 has it, but it's positioned to the back, almost like support. So, sort of an homage to the G1. And my final comparison. This is the comparison I like the most. And the fact that we have, this is the Legends DX9K oversized, and then, of course, the Earthrise, and Make Toys Meteor. Now, I want to point out that I kind of, in my mind, would have liked a Starscream to look closer to Make Toys Meteor. But I know I'm in the minority on that one. Sorry, guys. It's my fault that we have tuned in high prices, too, by the way. But but I do like the Meteor. I like the look of the Meteor big time. So I was kind of hoping more for that, but that's how it looks. This has been the Earthrise Starscream. Pretty good offering. Pretty interesting transformation. I love the paint. I love the aesthetic. Of course, you know, I'm a sucker for G1. They're getting me what I had a problem with Siege, where I really wasn't into Cybertronian alt modes. Now we get some almost perfect spot on G1 modes. It's going to be hard to say no to almost every figure in the Earthrise line for a sucker like me, who's a sucker for G1. Don't like these things here. I think I said it once. Like, subscribe, Dear Hanger out.